Okay. So in spherical coordinate system, okay. So in spherical coordinate system, we need basically, this is also a three-dimensional coordinate system. And in this coordinate system, we express any point by three parameter. First one is called rho. Second quantity is called theta. And third quantity is called phi. So by this three parameter, we can express any point in 3D. And that is, we can express any point uniquely in 3D by these three parameters. So what are the definition of these three parameters? First one is rho. Okay, we want to express this red color point. This red color point, this is a point in 3D. So we want to express this point in spherical coordinate system. So this first value rho means the distance from the center 0, 0, 0 to that red colored point. So basically, this length is called the rho value. Rho is basically radius of a sphere. আমি আসলে দেখাবো যে কেন এটাকে radius of a sphere বলা হয়. And theta, okay, and then phi. Okay, so phi means angle of that point with z axis. So this angle is called the phi. And theta is basically angle of that point to positive x-axis. So this angle is basically theta. So theta quantity is again unchanged in our cylindrical coordinate system. Theta was also the angle with positive x-axis. In spherical coordinate system, that angle is also angle is with positive x-axis. So the main thing is rho means distance from the origin to that point, and phi is angle between that point to z-axis. This angle is called the phi, and theta means angle with the positive x-axis. So by this three parameter, we can express any point, in this case, this red color point in 3D. So এইখানে যদিও আমি একটা ইমেজ দিয়ে জেনারেট করলাম, আমি ইমেজটা থেকে বেরিয়ে আপনাদের জন্য একটা ম্যাটল্যাব একটা গ্রাফিং ক্যালকুলেটর এটাকে ক্যালকুলেট করে রাখছি, সো একটু সেটা শেয়ার করতে চাচ্ছি। ওকে, so I think you can see the desmos.com this website, right sir? আমি ইমেজ থেকে নতুন একটা ওয়েবসাইটে আসছি, আপনারা কি এটা দেখতে পাচ্ছেন?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's say we have a sphere. Okay, so this is a sphere. This is a sphere. Okay, can anyone tell me how many points are there on this sphere? How many points are there on this sphere? The points basically infinitely many, right sir? Because of আমরা এই অরিজিন থেকে যেদিকে যাই না কেন, এই সারফেসের উপরে যতগুলো পয়েন্ট আছে সবগুলোই আমার স্ফিয়ারের উপরের পয়েন্ট। সো দিস ইজ এ ইকুয়েশন অফ স্ফিয়ার, বাট এই স্ফিয়ারের রেডিয়াস হচ্ছে 4. সো রো মিনস রেডিয়াস 4. সো এই স্ফিয়ারের জন্য তার রেডিয়াস হচ্ছে 4। দ্যাট ইজ আমরা আসলে শুধুমাত্র রো এর ভ্যালুটা ফিক্স করছি, but by fixing only the row values, we can't express any point in 3D uniquely. So basically we need two more parameters. So second parameter is this cone. আচ্ছা, এতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত আমরা দেখলাম যে পুরো স্ফিয়ারের উপরে নাম্বার অফ পয়েন্টস আর ইনফাইনাইটলি মেনি, বাট নাও if we see the intersection of this sphere and cone, then the intersecting points are basically a circle, right? The intersecting point of this cone and sphere is basically a circle. But still, we have infinitely many points since this is a circle. Since we have infinitely many points because of the intersection of this sphere and cone is a circle, and circle has infinitely many points. So we need another parameter that is called theta. So theta is basically angle with positive x-axis. So by these three surface, we can express any point in 3D. So in this case, you can see this red color point is expressed by rho is equal to 4. Phi is any something angle which is defined by this cone, and angle with the positive x-axis is defined by this plane. So by one plane and two surface, that is by one sphere and one cone and one plane, we can express a point uniquely in three-dimensional space. So let me remove all of the surfaces. So আমাদের এই সারফেস গুলো দরকার হবে না, আমরা শুধু ফ্রেমটা যদি রাখি. So this is the frame. So let's say we want to express this red color point. We have earlier shown this scenario. Basically, we want to express this red color point in spherical coordinate system. So in spherical coordinate system, rho means radius of a sphere. So if you draw a sphere whose center is 0, 0, 0 and radius is 4, then the sphere is something like this. And our red color point lies on this sphere, rho is equal to 4. So that's why this radius of this sphere in this case is 4, and সেই 4 কোয়ান্টিটি আমাদের বেসিক্যালি কোনটুকু মিন করে, এইখান থেকে এই পার্পল কালারের পয়েন্ট থেকে is this purple color point to red color point, so straight distance from the origin to that point is called the rho quantity. So for our spherical coordinate system, rho is the distance from origin to that point. So in this case, in red colored point. And what is our phi? Phi was the angle between the z-axis and that point. So in this case, this angle is our phi. So this angle is phi. So you can see this view. So basically, this is an angle, phi. And you can see in top view, so this red color point make theta degree angle with positive x-axis. So this angle is called the theta. So by this 3 point, rho, theta, and phi, you can express this red color point. Okay. সো আমরা এখানকার সেই গ্রাফটাকে আবার এখানে একটু রিজেনারেট করতে নিয়ে আসলাম, যে ওইখানের এই ফ্রেমটাকে এখানে নিয়ে এসে আমরা আবার একটু দেখতে চাচ্ছি যে আলটিমেটলি এই কোয়ান্টিটি গুলো কি মিন করে। সো একটু খেয়াল করেন যে আমি এই রেড কালার পয়েন্টটাকে এক্সপ্রেস করতে চাচ্ছি। সো ফ্রম অরিজিন টু দ্যাট পয়েন্ট, দিস ডিস্টেন্স ইজ কল্ড রো। This distance is called rho, and angle with positive x-axis to that point is called basically phi. So আমরা এখানে phi-টাকে এই কালার দিয়ে মিন করে যে angle between z-axis to center to that point. So this angle is called phi, and angle with the positive x-axis is called basically theta. এখন আমাদেরকে যখনই বলা হবে spherical coordinate system, that means we need to know the rho values, theta values, and phi values. Okay. So let's say this point, this red color point is in Cartesian coordinate system, rectangular coordinate system. In rectangular coordinate system, the coordinate of this point is x, y, z. Let's say in rectangular coordinate system, the coordinate of this red colored point is x, y, z. So what does it mean? That is, in x direction, this particular length is basically x, and in y direction, this length is y, and in Z direction, this particular height is Z. So we can define this way because of in rectangular coordinate system, if the point is in rectangular coordinate system, that is we need to consider how far the point in X direction and corresponding Y direction and corresponding Z direction. So that's why if a coordinate of that point is X comma Y comma Z, that is in the direction of X, in X direction we need to move X unit, and in Y direction we need to move Y unit, and corresponding Z direction we need to move Z unit. So these are the given values. You know the rectangular coordinate of that point, but now need to calculate this point in spherical coordinate system. So that is, you need to calculate rho, theta, and phi values. Okay, so let's calculate rho, theta, and phi values for this X comma Y comma Z. Okay, so আমরা basically key transformation যারা try করতেছি, the transformation of a point from rectangular coordinate system to spherical coordinate system, rho, theta, phi. Rho, theta, and phi. Okay, so first of all, rho quantity. Okay, so first of all, how can we calculate rho quantity? For the rho quantity, আমরা একটু এখানে কিছু সিনারিও মুছে দিচ্ছি। Okay, so since this is a right angle triangle, right, sir? Because of X and Y axes are perpendicular to one another. So this angle is right angle and this triangle is right angle triangle. So can we calculate this length? আমরা কি এই লেন্থটা ক্যালকুলেট করতে পারবো? কেউ কি বলতে পারবেন আমরা এই লেন্থটা ক্যালকুলেট করতে পারবো কিনা?
Yes, sir. Root over x square plus y square.
Right. Let's say this length is R. Nice, thank you. So let's say this length is R, and we can calculate this R quantity by this way. R is equal to square root of x square plus y square. X square plus y square. But again, okay, this is another right angle triangle. This is another right angle triangle, and we need to calculate the hypotenuse of the triangle, which is called the rho. So for this right angle triangle, our perpendicular quantity is Z, and base is any quantity R, and we want to calculate the hypotenuse. So hypotenuse rho is basically square root of R square plus Z square. So if we put R quantity in terms of X and Y, so R is square root of X square plus Y square. So R square quantity is X square plus Y square and plus Z square. Okay, so that's why our rho quantity is basically square root of X square plus Y square plus Z square if the coordinate of that point in rectangular coordinate system is X comma Y comma Z. Okay, so আমরা এরপরে theta quantity calculate করা ট্রাই করি। এগুলো একটু মুছে দেই, একটু মুছে দিচ্ছি এগুলো। Okay, so this particular angle is called the theta, and since this point, this X comma Y comma Z point is in first coordinate, so for the first coordinate, our angle theta, we can calculate this angle theta by just tan inverse Y divided by X. So angle theta in this case, since the point is in first coordinate, or in other cases, if the point is in second, third, or fourth, we can calculate by different formulas in terms of tan. So আমরা এখানে first coordinate থেকে, this is just simply tan inverse Y divided by X. So we have calculated for rho quantity, we have calculated theta quantity, and need to calculate this phi value. So phi is the angle between Z axis to that point via origin. So আমরা এখানে phi কোয়ান্টিটি কিভাবে ক্যালকুলেট করতে পারি? Since this particular height is z, so this length is also z because of uh, this is the height from the xy plane to that point, and এখানেও আমরা আসলে z axis বরাবর particular height from xy plane to z axis consider করতেছি. So in this case, this height is also z. So you know, this is another right angle triangle. So this is another right angle triangle. So for this right angle triangle, you want to calculate this phi angle, and you know the base is rho, and you know the hypotenuse is something. Sorry, you know the base is z, and hypotenuse is rho. So আমরা যদি এখানে cos apply করি যে cos phi is equal to base by hypotenuse. So in this case, base is just z quantity and hypotenuse is rho. So cos phi is equal to z divided by rho, means in xyz, this quantity is square root of x square plus y square plus z square. So that this phi quantity is also calculated, and by this transformation we can calculate any rectangular points in spherical coordinate system. So this is the transformation from rectangular to spherical coordinate system. So if you have a point in rectangular coordinate system, let's say that point is x comma y comma z, and you want to calculate rho theta phi, in that case rho quantity is basically square root of x square plus y square plus z square, and theta quantity is tan inverse y divided by x, depends on the coordinate. In this case, since the coordinate is in first quadrant, so that's why this theta is tan inverse y divided by x, and phi is cos inverse z divided by square root of x square plus y square plus z square. So we can write this way: phi is equal to cos inverse z divided by square root of x square plus y square plus z square.
স্যার ফাই কি কোঅর্ডিনেটের উপর ডিপেন্ড করে?
বুঝি নাই স্যার, ইয়েস একটু বলেন আরেকবার।
ফাইটা কি স্যার কোঅর্ডিনেটের উপর ডিপেন্ড করে?
ফাইটা কি কোঅর্ডিনেটের উপর ডিপেন্ড করে কিনা? কি কোঅর্ডিনেটের উপরে?
মিনিং স্যার থিটাটা যেমন ফার্স্ট কোঅর্ডিনেটে
না, এটা কোঅর্ডিনেটের উপর ডিপেন্ড করে না। ইয়েস, নাইস কোশ্চেন। সো দিস ইজ আন ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল কোয়ান্টিটি, and since base is always less than the hypotenuse, this quantity should be always less than or equal to 1, or maximum minus 1 to 1. So from minus 1 to 1, cos inverse minus 1 is basically something pi, and cos inverse 1 is 0. So that is the maximum phi value is basically less than or is equal to pi, and greater than or equal to 0. So this phi quantity doesn't depend on the coordinates. This is just simply angle between the z-axis and that point. এখন এই পয়েন্টটা যদি xy প্লেনের হয়ে যেত, let's say the point is on xy plane, that means xy প্লেনের জন্য তখন আমাদের এর অ্যাঙ্গেলটুকু চলে আসতো বেসিক্যালি phi এর ভ্যালু 90 ডিগ্রি, বিকজ অফ যখন কোনো পয়েন্ট xy প্লেনে থাকে, যদি xy প্লেনের কোনো একটা পয়েন্ট থাকে, তাহলে this is the angle of phi. So in that case, this is base and this is hypotenuse. This is the rho quantity, and in that case tan inverse base by hypotenuse এই ভ্যালুটা চলে আসবে বেসিক্যালি 0, and 0 হওয়ার কারণে phi এর ভ্যালুটা তখন 90 ডিগ্রি আসবে। সো বেসিক্যালি phi এর ভ্যালুটা নিয়ে আমি একটু বলি, এই কোশ্চেনটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আমি আজকে বারবার আমাদের শুধুমাত্র ইয়েগুলো চেঞ্জ করতে হবে। অনেক সময় ওয়েবসাইটে, অনেক সময় ওয়েবসাইট থেকে ইমেজ থেকে কখনো বোর্ডে। সো আপনারা একটু দেখবেন যে এই বিষয়টা বারবার চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে কিনা। ওকে, সো in phi quantity is basically what? So phi quantity is okay. This is x-axis corresponding y-axis, and this axis is z. So this is positive z and this is negative z. Okay. So if point is at this point, then the particular phi angle is this. So and we can calculate this phi by this way. This length is rho and this is z. So cos inverse phi, cos inverse z divided by rho is basically phi. But in this case আমাদের আসলে এই পয়েন্টটা যদি x axis xy plane এর নিচে হয়, that means in the negative direction of z, in that case angle of this phi is this angle, because of we need to always consider the angle with the positive z axis. So that's why this angle is phi. So since this angle is greater than 90 degree, in that case we know the cos something greater than 90 degree is negative. Greater than 90 degree is negative. So that means if we consider negative z axis, in that case our phi value is something greater than pi by 2. Pi by 2 to pi. So basically for the negative z axis, okay, for the negative z axis, for the negative z values, the range of phi is pi by 2 to pi. And for the positive values of z, the range of phi is 0 less than or equal to phi less than pi by 2. And for the z is equal to 0, specific 0 values, our phi quantities is pi by 2. That means we are on xy plane. So এইখানে যেটা লিখলাম এটাকে যদি আমরা আমাদের ডেসমস গ্রাফিং ক্যালকুলেটর থেকে দেখি, ওকে, ওকে। সো আমি এই ভিউটা একটু কাট করে নিতে চাই, নিয়ে আপনাদেরকে আবার একটু দেখাতে চাচ্ছি। টাইম দিবেন। Spherical coordinates. Here, please. Okay, so I think you can say the new images, right, sir? Okay. আপনারা কি এই ইমেজটা দেখতে পাচ্ছেন? আমি নতুন একটা ইমেজ আপনাদেরকে দেখাচ্ছি এখানে। সো এইটা বেসিক্যালি জেড অ্যাক্সিস বরাবর ভিউটা আমরা দেখতে চাচ্ছি। ইন দ্যাট কেস আমাদের ছিল যে স্যার যখনই ওকে, সো what is our phi quantity for this image? Basically for the red colored point, our phi quantity is this value. But if point is in xy plane, let's say the point is in xy plane, this is the point. Then what will be our pi quantity? So pi is again angle between the positive z axis and this point. So this is the phi angle. If you are in negative direction of xy, negative direction of z, that is point is now, let's say this point. So in that case, our phi quantity is basically, we need to first connect origin to that point. And this particular angle is basically phi value. So since phi value is something bigger than 90 degree in this case, so our z quantity in this case basically something negative. So আমরা যদি এই নেগেটিভ ভ্যালুটা ইনপুট করি এখানে, phi is equal to cos inverse cos inverse z is something negative value, let's say negative 5. So negative 5 divided by square root of x square plus y square plus z square. Let's say that quantity is also 5. So if we cancel out, this is cos inverse just simply -1. So cos inverse -1 কি হবে স্যার? আমরা যদি cos inverse -1 এর ডিরেক্ট অ্যাঙ্গেল যদিও জানি না, আমরা একটু মডিফাই করে নিই অ্যাঙ্গেলটাকে। ধরে নিচ্ছি যে z কোয়ান্টিটি ইজ সামথিং নেগেটিভ, পয়েন্টটা হচ্ছে এমন, x ইজ লেটস সে 2, y quantity is 1 and z is something negative value, let's say -5. So according to the formula, we can calculate this phi value, that is cos inverse z divided by square root of x square plus y square plus z square, which is cos inverse z is -5, square root of x square plus y square plus z square is 2 square plus 2 square plus 1 square minus 5 whole square, which is ultimately 5 square. So cos inverse -5 divided by square root of 4 plus 1 5, 25 is 30. So এই ভ্যালুটা অনেকটা less than greater than 90 degree কোনো একটা কোয়ান্টিটি আসবে. That means if angle of phi is something greater than 90 degree, in that case we are basically in the negative direction of z, and maximum value of phi can be, because of আমরা কতটুকু পর্যন্ত যেতে পারবো, এই পর্যন্ত যেতে পারবো. So that's why the range of phi in this case from 0 to pi, because of if this angle is something 0 degree and negative direction is basically 180 degree, so maximum value of phi can be pi and minimum value of pi is 0. So basically this is the range of phi. এখন আমাদের বেসিক্যালি যদি আমরা বই থেকে দেখি, শুধুমাত্র এই ট্রান্সফরমেশনটুকু মনে রাখতে হবে। So in our earlier class we have discussed about the cylindrical to rectangular coordinate system, rectangular to cylindrical coordinate system. In our today's class we have already discussed about the spherical to rectangular to spherical coordinate system. Now we want to express any spherical coordinate system in rectangular coordinate. So basically এখন দেওয়া থাকবে spherical coordinate system and need to calculate in rectangular coordinate system. So in that case, relation is basically x is equal to rho sin phi cos theta, y is equal to rho sin phi sin theta, and z is equal to rho cos phi. So you can also visualize the total formula using our Desmos graph, but ultimately that is not too much needed. The only needed quantity for your exam is these 6 kind of conversion. যদি আপনি এই 6 kind of conversion জানেন, অনেকটা যদি আপনি মুখস্থও করেন, in that case you can I think you can answer in your exam. But যদি কেউ ভালোভাবে মনে রাখতে চান, ভিজুয়ালাইজেশন করতে চান, in that case you need to know the basics 3-dimensional graph of spherical, cylindrical and rectangular system. And these coordinate systems are needed in your Mat 120 courses, because of in double integration and triple integration you need to use the spherical and cylindrical coordinate systems. So if you ওকে, যদি আপনি এটাকে খুব ভালোভাবে শিখতে পারেন দ্যাট ইজ ফাইন, আর না হয় আপনার আবার ম্যাথ 120 গেলে আবার আপনাকে আবার রিকল করে এগুলোকে শিখতে হবে। আচ্ছা, সো এখন আমরা এই স্ফেরিক্যাল টু রেক্ট্যাঙ্গুলার সিস্টেমের এই কনভার্সনটুকু দেখতে চাচ্ছি। ওকে, সো এখন এইখানকার কোন একটা ফ্রেম, अगेन আমরা সেই ফ্রেমটাতে আসছি। নাও our given values are rho, theta and phi, and we want to calculate x, y and z. So again need to take a screenshot of this image. আমরা স্ক্রিনশট নিয়ে এটাতে এই ওয়েবসাইটে লেখা যায় না, এটা হচ্ছে একটা সমস্যা। Okay, so now we want to know the transformation from spherical coordinate to rectangular coordinate system. So আমরা ধরে নিচ্ছি যে again আমরা এই রেড কালার পয়েন্টের কথাই বলি, সরি এই পয়েন্টের কথাই বলি, যে এই পয়েন্টের কোঅর্ডিনেট নাও ইন spherical coordinate system is rho theta phi, rho theta and phi. So that is rho quantity means this length from the origin to that point, and phi quantity is this angle between the positive z axis to that point, and theta is obviously this angle, which is just theta, just angle with the positive x axis. So now given quantities are rho theta phi, and we want to express this rho theta phi in terms of x comma y comma z. So x comma y comma z, that is, we need to calculate this x value, length in the direction of x, length in the direction of y, and corresponding length in the direction of z. So again, given quantities are rho, theta, and phi. Since this particular height is parallel to this height, so this length is also z. So we can calculate the z quantity using phi and rho. So cos phi is z divided by rho. So we can calculate z value, because of our ultimate target is to calculate x, y, and z values. So z value is rho cos phi. Okay, so z is calculated. এখন কেউ কি আমাকে বলতে পারবেন স্যার, এই লেন্থটা, আমি কালারটাকে একটু ডিফারেন্ট করে দেই, এই পার্পল কালারের লেন্থটুকু কত হবে ইন টার্মস অফ রো এন্ড ফাই? কেউ কি বলতে পারবেন এই লেন্থটা ইন টার্মস অফ রো এন্ড ফাই কত হবে? সো আপনি খেয়াল করবেন যে এটা একটা রাইট অ্যাঙ্গেল ট্রায়াঙ্গেল, and you know the angle and hypotenuse of that right angle triangle, and need to calculate the opposite of this right angle triangle. Let's say this opposite is basically r. আমরা এই r ভ্যালুটা যদি ক্যালকুলেট করতে চাই, কিভাবে ক্যালকুলেট করতে পারি? কেউ কি বলতে পারবেন?
স্যার সাইন থিটা দিয়ে।
Right. So sin theta, in this case sin phi, I think আপনি phi বোঝাতে চাইছেন, sin phi is equal to perpendicular divided by hypotenuse. So perpendicular is r, hypotenuse is rho. So r quantity is basically rho sin phi. Rho sin phi. Okay. So this r is basically this length. So এইটুকু হলো তাহলে আমাদের r quantity, and we know the angle theta, and this is again a right angle triangle, and want to calculate x and y value. That means the base and base and opposite of this right angle triangle. So again, এই লেন্থটুকু আমরা জেনে গেছি, r is equal to rho sin phi. So for calculating x, we can write in terms of cos theta. Cos theta is for this right angle triangle. For this right angle triangle, this is x divided by r. So we can write x in terms of r and theta, r cos theta. So r is basically rho sin phi and times cos theta. So if a point in spherical coordinate system is rho, theta, and phi, then you can calculate x, the x quantity of that point in rectangular coordinate system by using this formula rho sin phi and cos theta. And similar scenario for the y value, we can write sin theta is equal to y divided by r, and y is equal to r sin theta. And since r quantity is rho sin phi, so y is equal to rho sin phi sin theta. So this is the transformation. Rho theta phi is given, that is in spherical coordinate system, and you want to calculate the points in rectangular coordinate system. That means you can use rho theta phi values for calculating x, y, and z. So আমরা দেখলাম যে z can easily calculated by rho cos phi, and x value আমরা calculate করতে পারি easily by rho sin theta cos phi, and y quantity is rho sin theta sin phi. সো এই ট্রান্সফরমেশন যদি আমরা ইউজ করি তাহলে যে কোনো একটা পয়েন্ট যদি স্ফেরিক্যাল কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমে থাকে সেটাকে ইন টার্মস অফ রেক্ট্যাঙ্গুলার কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমে জেনারেট করা যাবে। সো এইখানকার ক্ষেত্রে এইখান থেকে আমরা একবারে স্ফেরিক্যাল কোঅর্ডিনেট টু রেক্ট্যাঙ্গুলার স্ফেরিক্যাল কোঅর্ডিনেট টু সিলিন্ড্রিক্যাল কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমের ট্রান্সফরমেশনটুকু বলে দিতে চাচ্ছি। সো আই থিংক এই স্ফেরিক্যাল টু রেক্ট্যাঙ্গুলার কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমে যদি কারো কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে তাহলে আমাকে একটু বলতে পারেন, বিকজ অফ আমি আলটিমেটলি এই ইমেজের মধ্যে আবার স্ফেরিক্যাল টু সিলিন্ড্রিক্যাল কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমটা বলতে চাচ্ছি। ওকে, প্রবলেম নেই, না হয় আমি আরো একটা ইমেজ জেনারেট করতেছি। এটা একটু ইরিটেটিং বা রিপিটেটিভ লাগতে পারে, বাট আমাদের আসলে 3 ডাইমেনশনাল ফ্রেমের জন্য একটু প্রবলেম হচ্ছে। 3 ডাইমেনশনাল ফ্রেমকে বোঝাতে একটু প্রবলেম হতে পারে। সো কারো যদি একটু প্রবলেম হয়ে থাকে তাহলে আমাকে একটু জানাবেন স্যার। স্ফেরিক্যাল কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেম, ইমেজ নাম্বার 2। Spherical coordinate system, image number 2. Okay. Okay. So now, given points is in rho, theta, and phi. That means in spherical coordinate system, and we want to calculate the same point in cylindrical coordinate system. We know in cylindrical coordinate system our parameter is r, theta, and z. Okay. So again, consider this point, and points in spherical coordinate system is rho, theta, phi. And the given quantities are basically this is rho, and this angle is phi, and corresponding angle is theta. Now, this theta quantity is basically unchanged in spherical and in cylindrical coordinate system. Basically, definition of this theta in spherical coordinate system and cylindrical coordinate system is same. So that's why any point in spherical coordinate system, any theta quantity in spherical coordinate system is same as in our rectangle, in our cylindrical coordinate system. So theta quantity is unchanged. Now, we have 3 parameters, rho, theta, and phi, and need to calculate r and z value. So we know the r values in cylindrical coordinate system is this red distance. So this red distance is basically r. And this particular height, again, this is also a z. This is in distance, that is a height from the xy plane to that point. So that is our z value. So we want to calculate these 2 red colored parameter r and z using rho, theta, and phi. So again, our known quantities are only rho, theta, and phi. So we know the angle, this angle is phi, and corresponding hypotenuse of this right angle triangle is rho. So we can calculate this length, which is the opposite of this right angle triangle when angle is phi. So in that case, this is basically our r quantity. So this is basically our r quantity. So by sine ratio, we can calculate this r value, because of sine phi is equal to r divided by rho. So r quantity is basically rho sine phi. So we have calculated r quantity in terms of rho, theta, and phi. So basically theta is not needed, just phi and rho quantity is needed for calculating r values. So r is equal to rho sine phi, and we can calculate this z value because of, since z is the height from xy plane to that point, in in Z direction, that particular height is basically this one, which is the base of this right angle triangle. So for calculating base of this right angle triangle, we can use the cos ratio. So cos phi is equal to base divided by hypotenuse. So Z quantity can be expressed in terms of rho and phi, which is rho cos phi. Okay, done. So if we have a point in spherical coordinate system and want to calculate in rectangle and cylindrical coordinate system, in that case, our Z quantity is just rho cos phi and theta quantity is unchanged and R quantity is rho sin phi. So this is the transformation. So by this transformation, we can express any point in spherical coordinate system to cylindrical coordinate system. So these are the transformations. Just you need to know all of the transformations given in this chart. So আপনি যদি খালি কয়টা ট্রান্সফরমেশন জানেন তাহলে মোটামুটি আপনার পরীক্ষায় সবগুলো কোশ্চেনের অ্যান্সার করতে পারবেন। সো আমরা মোটামুটি সবগুলো কনভার্সন নিয়েই ডিসকাস করে ফেলছি। এই পর্যন্ত যদি আপনাদের কোনো কোশ্চেন না থাকে তাহলে আমাদের ক্লাসের নেক্সট কন্টেন্টে যাব। এন্ড অবভিয়াসলি আমরা যাওয়ার আগে স্ফেরিক্যাল, রেক্ট্যাঙ্গুলার এন্ড সিলিন্ড্রিক্যাল কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমের কিছু এক্সাম্পলস অবভিয়াসলি আপনাদেরকে বলে যাব। ওকে, so let's say we have a point in spherical coordinate system is rho theta phi is 4 pi by 3 comma pi by 4. So in this case our rho quantity is 4 and theta value is pi by 3 and phi value is pi divided by 4. So question is find the rectangular coordinate system of this spherical coordinates. So rectangular coordinate systems is basically আমরা একটু আগেই দেখে আসছি যে from spherical coordinate to rectangular coordinate system formula is x is equal to rho sin phi cos theta. So rho is 4, sin phi is pi by 3, cos pi by 3 because of our theta quantity is pi by 3. So ultimately x quantity in rectangular coordinate system is 2 and y value is the formula from the spherical to rectangular coordinate system is rho sin phi sin theta. And if we use this all quantities, rho is 4, phi is pi by 4 and theta is pi by 3, then y quantity is root over 6 and z is simply rho cos phi. So rho cos phi is 4 times cos pi by 4, which is 2 root 2. So the corresponding rectangular coordinate system of this point is x is root 2, y is root over 6 and z quantity is 2 root 2. That is point is in our first quadrant. So এরকম আরো অনেকগুলো এখানে আপনাদেরকে একটা ইমেজ দিয়ে এখানে বলে দেওয়া হয়েছে, আপনারা চাইলে ইমেজটাকে একটু কাইন্ডলি দেখতে পারেন যে so in rectangular coordinate system in cylindrical coordinate system point is 4 pi by 3 and negative z. So that is 4 is distance from origin to this distance. So this quantity is 4. Theta is angle with the positive x-axis. This angle is pi divided by 3. And z value is something negative 3. That is, we need to move in negative z direction negative 3, negative z direction negative 3. So ultimately that's why we need to move this 3 unit below in the direction of z. So the representation of 4 pi by 3 comma negative 3 is basically this point. And in this point, our r quantity is 4 because of the straight distance from the z axis to that point is 4. And angle with the positive direction of this point is basically pi divided by 3. And in z direction, basically negative z direction is negative 3 unit. So আমাদের z এর দিকে নেগেটিভ 3 ইউনিট নেমে z অ্যাক্সিস থেকে 4 ইউনিট দূরে x এর পজিটিভ ডিরেকশন থেকে পাই বাই 3 অ্যাঙ্গেল করা একটা পয়েন্টকে আমরা এটাকে সিলিন্ড্রিক্যাল কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমে এক্সপ্রেস করলে এমন একটা কোঅর্ডিনেট আসবে। এখন এই সেম পয়েন্টটাকে যদি আমরা সিলিন্ড্রিক্যাল টু রেক্ট্যাঙ্গুলারে কনভার্ট করতে চাই, দ্যাট ইজ কোশ্চেন ইজ so question is a point is given in cylindrical coordinate system. So cylindrical coordinate system is r, theta and z. So r, theta and z quantity is basically r is 4 for this problem. R is 4, theta is pi by 3 and z quantity is -3. And we want to convert this point in rectangular coordinate system x, y and z. So this is very simple. R quantity is square root of x square plus y square, x square plus y square, which is, sorry, given quantity is in r, theta and z. So we want to calculate x, y and z. So formula of x is basically x is equal to r cos theta. So r is 4, cos theta is pi divided by 3. So this is something 4 times half, which is 2. And similarly, y is equal to r sin theta. R is 2 sine pi divided by 3. So sine pi divided by 3 is root 3 divided by 2. So 2 times root 3 divided by 2, 2 cancelled out. Root 3 divided by, I think, root 3 divided by, so answer is only root 3. And z quantity is unchanged because of in rectangular and cylindrical coordinate system, our z quantity is unchanged. So in this case, z is basically -3. So এই সেম পয়েন্টটাকে যদি আমরা এই রেক্টাঙ্গুলার কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমে কনভার্ট করি, তাহলে তার কোঅর্ডিনেট হবে x ভ্যালু 2, y ভ্যালু √3 and z ভ্যালু is -3. সো এরকম অনেকগুলো কনভার্সনের প্র্যাকটিস আপনাদের এই বইয়ে দেওয়া আছে, এন্ড আমি বলবো এই এক্সাম গুলো সহ প্র্যাকটিস গুলো সহ আপনারা একটু দেখবেন। এইখানে অনেকগুলো কমন সিনারিও দেওয়া আছে, যে ইকুয়েশন অফ কোন, ইকুয়েশন অফ সিলিন্ডার, স্ফেয়ার, প্যারাবোলা এন্ড প্যারাবোলয়েড, এগুলো আপনাদের জন্য লেস ইম্পর্টেন্ট, বাট এক্সামের জন্য লেস ইম্পর্টেন্ট। বাট কেউ যদি শিখতে চান তাহলে খুবই ভালো হবে, যে আসলে আপনি জানতে চাচ্ছেন যে in spherical in rectangular coordinate system z is equal to square root of x square plus y square is a cone shaped graph, but you can express this total cone in cylindrical coordinate system is just z is equal to r. And more easier way যেটা হলো আমরা spherical coordinate system এ express করতে পারি, this is just phi is equal to pi by 4. A same cylinder, same cone, if you express this in rectangular coordinate system, the equation is z is equal to square root of x square plus y square. But in cylindrical coordinate system, since x square plus y square is equal to r square, so square root of x square plus y square is simply r. So z is equal to r is the equation in cylindrical coordinate system of this cone. And spherical coordinate system is just need to know the angle of this curve with the positive z axis. Since angle is always something pi divided by 4, so this curve is basically phi is equal to pi by 4 in spherical coordinate system. So এইখানে একই কার্ভকে এক্সপ্রেস করতে দুইটা প্যারামিটার লাগতেছে, এইখানে একটা প্যারামিটার লাগতেছে, এখানে শুধু একটা কনস্ট্যান্ট দিয়ে এক্সপ্রেস করা যাচ্ছে। দিস ইজ দ্য বেসিক সিনারিও, যে আমরা আসলে যেটা এইটা আপনি 120 তে ক্যালকুলেট করতে গেলে এরকম সিনারিও গুলো খুবই দরকার হবে। সো যারা একটু ইন্টারেস্টেড তারা এগুলো একটু দেখবেন, বাট এগুলো লেস ইম্পর্টেন্ট ফর ইউর ম্যাথ 120 ফাইনাল এক্সাম। And spherical system is used in our world navigation system. So আপনারা এই এক্সাম্পলটা একটু দেখবেন, যে how we can use this spherical coordinate system to navigate on the sphere, so on the earth. So এইটা একটা এক্সাম্পল দেওয়া আছে, একটা নিউ অরলিন্স সিটি অফ ইউএসএ একটা লোকেশন দেওয়া আছে, which is latitude and longitude. আপনারা একটু দেখবেন, এই ল্যাটিটিউড আর লঙ্গিটিউডই বেসিক্যালি আমাদের রো থেটা ফাই ভ্যালুগুলোর সাথে কানেক্টেড। এই টাইপের প্রবলেম গুলো একটু বেশি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। এন্ড আলটিমেট আপনাদের প্র্যাকটিস শিটে যেগুলো দেওয়া আছে, দিস কনভার্সনস ফ্রম rectangular to cylindrical, cylindrical to rectangular, rectangular to spherical, spherical to rectangular, and these problems also have in your I think your assignment 3. যদি আপনারা কেউ অ্যাসাইনমেন্ট 3 দেখে থাকেন তাহলে দেখবেন যে এই টাইপের কিছু কোশ্চেন আপনাদের অ্যাসাইনমেন্টে দেওয়া আছে। So this is our transformation of coordinates chapter. If anyone have any question, please ask me now. Otherwise, আমি আসলে এই কন্টেন্ট থেকে আমরা আমাদের নেক্সট কন্টেন্ট কনিক সেকশনে চলে যাব এখনই। যদি আপনাদের কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে অথবা কোনো ধরনের সে থাকে, ইন দ্যাট কেস আমরা একটু জানতে চাচ্ছি, আদারওয়াইজ আমরা নেক্সট কন্টেন্টে যাব। আচ্ছা, সো আমরা এখানে অনেক কিছু পড়াইছি, এই সবগুলোই আপনাদের পরীক্ষার জন্য ইম্পর্টেন্ট না। ইম্পর্টেন্ট হচ্ছে ট্রান্সফরমেশন অফ পয়েন্টস, এন্ড এই ট্রান্সফরমেশন অফ পয়েন্টস গুলো আপনি চাইলে শুধুমাত্র এই যে চার্টটা দেখাইলাম আপনাদের বইয়ের, সেই চার্টটুকু মনে রেখেও আপনি কিন্তু ক্যালকুলেট করতে পারবেন। বাট যদি আপনি জানতে চান হাউ দিস অল ফর্মুলাস ক্যান বি জেনারেটেড, ইন দ্যাট কেস আপনি এই 3 ডাইমেনশনাল ফ্রেম গুলো ইউজ করতে পারেন। আমি আপনাদের সাথে এই 3 ডাইমেনশনাল ফ্রেম গুলো অবভিয়াসলি শেয়ার করব। So our next content of this class is equation of parabola. So basically conic sections. So in conic section, basically, if we cut a cone in different way, then we will get some geometric shape, and that shape may be parabola, maybe hyperbola. We will learn about all of this geometric shape. And third one is maybe ellipse. And we can find circle and even pair of straight lines. So our main interest is to know the standard form of parabola, ellipse, and hyperbola. And circle and pair of straight line is less important, I think excluded for your exam. So basically in this section we will learn about the standard formulas of parabola, ellipse, and hyperbola. Okay, so আমরা স্টার্ট করে দিচ্ছি যে আসলে প্যারাবোলা বলতে আমরা যেটা বুঝি। So definition of parabola is basically a parabola is the set of all points definitely in the plane that are equidistant from a fixed point and a fixed line. So this is the definition of parabola. So basically the summary of this definition is, if you have a point in 2-dimensional plane and a line, in that case this point is called focus. So basically you have a focus, and this fixed line is called the directrix. So according to the definition of parabola is the set of all points in the plane that are equidistant from the fixed point and the fixed line. So basically all of the points that are equidistant from this fixed point, which is focus, from this fixed focus to this fixed distance, that set of all points are in our parabola. So this point is not in our parabola because of distance from this focus to that point, and distance from that point to directrix is not equal. Let's say this is basically 3 unit and this is 1 unit. So in that case, this point is not in equidistance from directrix to that point and from focus to that point. So basically, that's why this point is not included in our parabola. কোন পয়েন্টগুলো তাহলে ইনক্লুড হবে? ইনক্লুড হবে পয়েন্টগুলো এইগুলো যেগুলো ইকুইডিস্টেন্স। আমরা যদি ধরে নেই যে এই পয়েন্টটা, লেটস সে this point is equidistant from focus and directrix. So definitely, since directrix is a line, so we need to only consider the perpendicular distance from that point to directrix line. So if this distance, let's say this distance is 2 unit and this is also 2 unit, then we can say this red colored point is in our parabola. And by the same way, we will have more and more points. If we connect all of the points, then we will find something, this kind of scenario. So this is called basically a parabola, and all of the points on parabola must follow a rule, that is distance from focus to any point on the parabola must be equal to that point to distance from that point to the directrix line. Okay, so one more idea is needed in this case, that is perpendicular distance from a line. Let's say this is a line and equation of this line is something ax plus by plus c equal to 0. And we want to calculate perpendicular distance from any point x naught comma y naught to on this line. So this is the perpendicular distance. Let's say the coordinate of this point is p, and the bottom point on this line is basically m, and this pm is perpendicular to the straight line ax plus by plus c equal to 0. And we want to calculate this length pm. So we know a well-known formula, that is absolute value of, need to put x naught and y naught quantity in this equation, and that is a x naught plus b y naught plus c divided by square root of coefficient of x square, which is a square, plus coefficient of y square, which is b square. So this is the formula for the perpendicular distance from any point x naught comma y naught to the straight line ax plus by plus c equal to 0. So let's say, one example of this formula is we have a line twice x plus 3y plus 4x plus 3y plus 9 equal to 0. This is a equation of a straight line, and we want to calculate perpendicular distance from point P, which is let's say 5, 6. So we want to calculate perpendicular distance from this P point 5, 6 to this straight line. So according to the formula, if this intersecting point is something m, so our interest is to find pm. Pm is 4 times x value of this point is negative 5, which is just 5. 4 times 5 plus 3 times 6 plus 9 divided by square root of coefficient of x square 4 square, coefficient of y square is 3 square. So this perpendicular distance, since denominator is root over 25, which is only 5, and numerator is 5 times 4 is 20. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 9. So answer is 47 divided by 5. So this is the perpendicular distance from the point 5, 6 to the line 4x plus 3y plus 9 equal to 0. So this formula is needed in our parabolic equation because of ultimately we need to calculate perpendicular distance from point to that directrix line. Okay. Now calculate some standard formula of parabolic equation. So standard form of parabola, a standard form of parabola. So for calculating a parabola equation of parabola, two information must be given. One information is a fixed point. We need to fix a point, and then a fixed line. The line is called directrix line. So for calculating a equation of parabola, we need to fix two quantities. One is a fixed point and another one is fixed line. So let's say this is the frame of two-dimensional coordinates. This is x-axis and corresponding y-axis. We need to specify one fixed directrix line. So let's say the directrix line in this case parallel to our y-axis. So this is the directrix line. And since directrix line is on the left side of our x-axis, the equation of this line is something x equal to minus a. X equal to minus a. So this is one information that is needed to evaluate a parabolic equation. And another information is a fixed point. Let's say that that fixed point is this one. And coordinate of that fixed point is a, 0. So two necessary informations are given. One is fixed point, which is 0, a, 0, and a fixed line, directrix line, which is x is equal to minus a. So for this set of informations, we want to calculate the equation of parabola. In that case, any point, let's say that point, that representative point is x, y. Any point x, y will be on the parabola if this particular distance, let's say this focus point is S. So distance of SP is equal to distance PM. If SP is equal to PM, in that case, the point x, y will be on our parabola. Because of if SP is equal to PM, that P point x, y is equidistant from focus a, 0 and directrix line x is equal to minus a. So according to the definition of parabola, this x, y point will be on our parabola if this SP distance is equal to PM. So since PM is a perpendicular distance, so this is basically a perpendicular distance. So we need to use our previous formula that is just discussed in our class. So for the PM distance, we need to write our straight line in this format, ax plus by plus c equal to 0. So since our equation is x is equal to negative a, in this format, our equation is basically x plus a equal to 0. So PM distance is basically need to put this x, y point and in this equation x is equal to a, x is equal to minus a, basically x is equal to a. So if you put x and y quantity in this quantity in this equation x plus a equal to 0, so this is just simply x plus a divided by coefficient of x square, coefficient of x and square and coefficient of y square. So in this case, coefficient of x is 1 square, coefficient of y is 0, so 0 square. So this PM distance is basically x plus a because of denominator is basically 1. And SP distance, for this distance, we know that 2 points, one point is P, x, y, and S is a, 0. So SP is basically square root of x minus a whole square plus y minus 0 whole square. Standard distance formula. Just need to write this SP and PM in this equation. So SP is square root of x minus a whole square plus y minus 0 whole square equal to PM distance is absolute value of x plus a. Basically, this is a representative point. If P point is x1, y1, then our PM distance is x1 plus a. If this point is this P point is x2, y2, then PM distance is x2 plus a. In generally, if point is x, y, then PM distance is x plus a. So this is true for any xy points. Basically, since this point is a representative point, আমরা এখানে কোনো ধরনের x and y এর সাবস্ক্রিপ্ট আকারে থেকে এক্সপ্রেস করিনি বিকজ অফ এখানে যতগুলো পয়েন্ট থাকবে সবগুলো পয়েন্টের রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ পয়েন্ট হচ্ছে দিস px, y. সো দ্যাটস ওয়াই আমরা এটাকে জাস্ট জেনারেল x and y আকারে রেখে দিছি, কোনো একটা স্পেসিফিক পয়েন্ট আকারে এটাকে লিখে। Okay, so if we square root this equation, then the answer is x minus a whole square plus y square is equal to x plus a whole square, and y square is equal to x plus a whole square minus x minus a whole square. So y square is equal to x plus a whole square minus x minus a whole square. The formula is 4ax. Or you can write the formula of x plus a whole square, then you will get x square plus 2ax plus a square, and the formula of x minus a whole square, that is x square minus 2ax plus a square. Then square terms will be cancelled out and you will get 2ax from this one and 2x from this one. Ultimately, this is 4ax. Or you can use the standard formula of 4ab. The formula of 4ab is a plus b whole square minus a minus b whole square. So this is the formula, this is the equation of the parabola y square is equal to 4ax. So যদি আমাদের কোনো একটা ফোকাস দেয়া থাকে x axis এর উপরে and focus is a, 0 and কোনো একটা directrix line থাকে same distance origin থেকে x এর negative direction এ, the line is parallel to y axis, that is x is equal to negative a. In that case, our standard parabolic equation is y square is equal to 4ax. So for y square is equal to 4ax, we know the focus of this parabola is x is equal to a and y is equal to 0 because of the point was a, 0. In this case, focus was a, 0. So that's why focus is x is equal to a, y is equal to 0. আমরা এভাবে লিখি a, 0. That means x value is a, y value is 0. And equation of the directrix so this quantity is also given, that is x is equal to minus a. So x is equal to minus a is the equation of the directrix. And third quantity is vertex. Third quantity is the axis of parabola. Axis of parabola. Okay. So what is the axis of parabola? So axis of parabola is okay. So this is a focus. If we draw a perpendicular line passing through the focus, if we draw a perpendicular line perpendicular to our directrix and passing through the focus, then this line is called basically axis of parabola. তাহলে এই axis of parabola for this scenario is x-axis, and we know equation of x-axis is y is equal to 0. So that's why for y square is equal to 4ax, axis of parabola is x-axis, which is y is equal to 0. And next information is vertex. Okay. So what is vertex? Vertex is the intersecting point of the parabola and axis of parabola is called the vertex. So in this case, this point is the vertex. So vertex is basically intersecting point of the axis of parabola and the parabola y square is equal to 4ax. So in this case, our axis of parabola is y is equal to 0, and the equation of parabola is y square is equal to 4ax. So if you put x in this, y is equal to 0 in this equation, so 4ax equal to 0. So x quantity is also 0. So vertex of this parabola is basically 0, 0. So vertex of this parabola is 0, 0. And next information is length of the lattice rectum. So length of the lattice rectum is perpendicular distance that passing through the focus point a, 0 to the curve. So this length is called the lattice rectum. So since this point is a, 0, so we want to find this and this point. If we find these 2 points, then distance of this 2 point is basically is called the length of lattice rectum. So এখন এই দুইটা পয়েন্টের কোঅর্ডিনেট আমরা কিভাবে পেতে পারি? সিন্স এই কার্ভের ইকুয়েশন হলো y স্কয়ার is equal to 4x, y square equal to 4x, 4ax, and at this point x is equal to a because of this point is our focus. So if you put x is equal to a in this equation, that is y square is equal to 4 times a times again a. So y is equal to plus minus 2a. So coordinate of this 2 point is a comma negative 2a and a comma positive 2a. A comma positive 2a. So distance of this 2 point is basically square root of, since we do not have any changes in x quantity, then ultimately change of these 2 points is basically change of y quantity. So change of y quantity is 2a minus 2a is equal to 4a. So length of lattice rectum for this kind of parabola is 4a. Length of lattice rectum is 4a. So a can be any negative quantity. So that's why we need to use, since this is the length, so length is always a positive quantity. So length of lattice rectum is something absolute value of 4a. So these all are the necessary informations that that is needed to calculate in your exam. So that is focus, equation of the directrix, axis of parabola, vertex, and length of lattice rectum. Okay, so this is a standard parabola where our focus is on our x-axis and focus is a, 0, and directrix is parallel to our y-axis, which is x is equal to minus a. Similarly, if we consider focus on our y-axis, which is 0, b, and directrix line is parallel to x-axis, parallel to x-axis, in that case, our parabola will be something like this. And relation again same, any point p x, y will be on this parabola if distance from that point to the focus is equal to the distance to that point to the directrix line. So in this case, our consideration is directrix line is something minus b. So if you again calculate SP divided by PM, sorry, SP is equal to PM. For this scenario, SP is basically distance from S to P, which is 0, B to X, Y, and distance PM is basically perpendicular distance on directrix line from PX, Y. If you solve this equation, then ultimate answer will be something x square is equal to 4ay. So this is another standard form of our parabola, that is x square is equal to 4ay. If parabola is something x square is equal to 4ay, parabola x square is equal to 4ay. So this is the second kind of parabola, second standard parabola, that is x square is equal to 4ay. In that case, focus is basically what? Focus is basically 0, b. So focus is 0, b. And what is directrix line? Directrix line is y is equal to minus b. So in our previous case, equation of the directrix was x is equal to minus a. In this case, y is equal to minus b. And axis of parabola, in this case, our axis of parabola is this axis, which is our y-axis, and the equation of this y-axis is x is equal to 0. So axis of parabola now x is equal to 0. And again, vertex is 0, 0 because of our axis of parabola passes through point 0, 0, which is also a common point of our parabola x square is equal to 4ay. So that's why this point is the vertex. So vertex is same for both standard parabola. Length of lattice rectum. In this case, length of lattice rectum is basically this perpendicular distance from one corner point of the graph to another corner point of the graph, but the point must pass through the point of focus. So in that case, the coordinate of this point and this point is basically twice b comma b. This is minus twice b comma b, and this point is 2b comma b. So since we do not have any change in y direction, then the distance of this 2 point is basically absolute value of x quantity. The change of x quantities is the distance from these 2 points. So change is basically 2b minus 2b minus 2b, which is ultimately 4b. So if b is something negative, in that case, this distance will be something negative. So that's why I need to consider the absolute sign. So length of lattice rectum for the second kind of standard parabola, that is 4b. So this is this is 4by. X square is equal to 4by. So এই দুইটাই হচ্ছে আমাদের স্ট্যান্ডার্ড প্যারাবোলার ইকুয়েশন। এই স্ট্যান্ডার্ড প্যারাবোলার ইকুয়েশনটা আমরা কিভাবে জেনারেট করলাম সেটাও আমরা এখানে দেখালাম, যে বেসিক্যালি আমরা কনসিডার করে নিচ্ছি যে আমাদের ফোকাস গুলো হচ্ছে কোনো একটা অ্যাক্সিসের উপরে এন্ড ডিরেক্ট্রিক্স হচ্ছে প্যারালাল টু অ্যানাদার অ্যাক্সিস। এরকম যদি কখনো আমরা ফোকাস এন্ড ডিরেক্ট্রিক্স ফিক্স করি, ইন দ্যাট কেস আওয়ার parabolar equation হবে something x square is equal to 4ax or y square is equal to 4ay. Okay, so we are at the last moment of our class. Please write your name and ID in the comment box. This is exactly 226 students present in this class. So I hope I will get 26 attendance in my chat box. So write your name and ID in the chat box. Okay. So by this time, if anyone have any question, you can ask. Joaddar Sadikun Nobi, do you have any question? You have raised your hand. Joaddar Sadikun Nobi.